Councils serve as an important, pardon me, councils serve an important advisory role, providing valuable perspectives and recommendations for Dharma teachers and the board. Because they are also represented on the board, as explained in the next chapter, constitute 1/3 of the board. Council members participate in the decisions and discussions that shape the Sangha's administration. Council members are also, is this the same paragraph?
Yeah.
Council members are also the sense organs for a living, breathing Sangha, helping us know about concerns, questions, and difficulties of Sangha members and the Sangha as a whole. Council members train people new to roles, and they are convenient point people for Sangha members with questions and concerns.
Just a little thing, Pegs, you've often used the expression eyes and ears, or at least I remember that. And so that as opposed to sense organs.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just remembering that.
Yeah. This is a slightly different use.
Okay. The contributions of the councils and their collective energy, care, and wisdom cannot be overstated. I consider this new part of the Sangha's architecture a stroke of genius. The collective genius of our wonderful students who took to the idea of councils wholeheartedly. Over the years, the structure has proven to enrich the Sangha immeasurably, to provide the continuity and stability so essential for a Sangha. Councils have helped us make wise decisions and understand the impact of those decisions on the Sangha. 4 of our entrusted Dharma teachers have emerged from the council experience and training. Most importantly, councils have resolved the dilemmas listed above that had completely stymied us. It means, too, that the myriad tasks involved in running the Sangha don't fall to 2 or 3 devoted but overburdened souls, or the teacher alone, an unsustainable model, as I mentioned, too common in small Sanghas. Just as importantly, councils have fostered deep, abiding spiritual friendships that are bright golden threads in the fabric of the Sangha. I would say there, do you want to capitalize that Sangha also?
Oh, right.
I'm wondering if you want to say all 4 of our entrusted Dharma teachers, because someone might read that as, well, there's others who didn't emerge from the council experience.
I would say, I'd say all of our, because.
Okay, and then new ones.
Yeah, because by the time this book is in print, we may have entrusted some other teachers. You know.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah.
Just our entrusted Dharma teachers have emerged.
Yeah.
I really like the bright golden thread.
Mm. I think it's Donna. Donna's not reading it, right? Right. Then it would be Melissa.
No, it's Kim.
Kim.
Oh, Kim, right.
Of course, councils are not static, permanent fixtures. People move, life circumstances change, and we sometimes need to add new council members to an existing group just to keep things balanced. Councils, too, are complex adaptive systems that evolve. They shape and are shaped by the very human beings inhabiting them.
Furthermore, the model of councils is open and expandable. It is not a small privileged elite, but a network of support and care for the whole Sangha. We will continue to develop additional councils as people are ready for and aspire to this deep training and responsibility. This means that the Sangha is forming up in other places. This means that Sanghas forming up in other places too can organize councils to train and learn together and serve their own Sanghas. We number the councils in order that they are formed as generations, so that council members will both be able to draw on more experienced councils and also help support and guide members of newer councils.
Endeavor to balance as much as possible men and women on any council. We will endeavor to support diversity and equity on councils while meeting these criteria.
So our webpage describing councils with contact links is here. www.
Well, again, I would take off the www.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, we
Okay.
just asked IT guy,
Huh?
he said, no, you don't put it in, and sometimes it's causing problems now.
Oh, oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a new thing.
Yeah. Note, there are two aspects to roles at Appamada: criteria for assuming a role and expectations of anyone who has taken on that role. For example, we might invite someone who has been practicing Zazen with us regularly to learn the monitor role if they are interested. These are the role criteria: some experience with the practice and the Sangha, and some interest in learning the role.
The role expectations for a monitor include showing up on time, enacting the role mindfully, taking instruction and correction thoughtfully, and continuing to refine the performance of the role of monitor as a practice. These criteria and expectations for roles have generally been informal and more or less tacit. They are usually explained in training for the role. But in the interest of clarity and transparency, we try to make them a bit more explicit here and on the web.
How are councils formed? Here is how we list the criteria for forming councils and inviting members on our website. Council members are Appamada practitioners who are invited to join a council by the teachers. Councils provide deeper training in our practice and tradition, peer support to deepen practice, and opportunities to learn and grow together. Council members also help shape programming at Appamada, help care for the Sangha, and manage intensives and other offerings.
I guess it's me.
Yeah.
We can't expect anyone to assume responsibility for others until they are responsible for themselves. It begins with maintaining a daily sitting practice and making one's home in the precepts. It includes a willingness to face one's own reactivity and conditioning with curiosity and friendliness. It also includes a capacity for listening to others and for taking instruction and corrections as support on their path. It takes a wholehearted commitment to learn and grow in this Buddha way.
Councils are formed whenever there are at least 5 Sangha members who meet certain criteria. Each one has established a consistent daily sitting practice, has accurately and completely learned all of the key roles: monitor, timekeeper, Jisha, Shinden, is actively and regularly working with a teacher, is a consistent participant in regular Appamada activities, has completed the precepts program or individual precept study with a teacher and taken the precept ceremony, has participated in at least 4 intensives, has moved beyond solely self-centered practice towards support and care for the community, has requested or is interested in further training at Appamada, is psychologically and emotionally stable and mature, is agreed upon by previous councils and approved by former head students and teachers, is able to commit to a 1-hour weekly meeting with occasional unavoidable misses.
Expectations for council members. Role expectations for council members include continue a consistent daily sitting practice, meet with a teacher for practice discussion regularly every 2 weeks, attend weekly council meetings and regular all council meetings faithfully, be willing to serve as a council representative on the board for a regular term, attend to the well-being of the Sangha and its members, develop of and maintain health peer relationships within the council and the Sangha, share council tasks and responsibilities together fairly, free offer one's perspective on issues under discussion or one's own vision for the Sangha without clinging to a fixed view or outcome. Participate as often as feasible in Sangha activities, both formal, intensives, classes, programs, etc., and informal potlucks, Friday morning tacos, Sunday brunch, etc. Be mindful, as a council member, you are everywhere you go, an ambassador of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, Appamada.
I'm wondering if you want a period at the end of the Appamada like you did here.
Uh-huh. That's probably right. So it's me, right?
Mhm.
This is how we understand the criteria and expectations for the role of council member. We help each other recall and enact them. The role of council members is extremely important because, as mentioned above, council members also constitute 1/3 of our board, to which we turn now.
I think it's perfect.
I think the streamlining that you did by saying, okay, for this section, go to the website.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that makes it a whole lot easier to parse the entirety of it.
Yeah, because much of that was was repeating what's above. So
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, and
I like,
this is the first time I really got clarity about the distinction between criteria for assuming a role and expectations once you're in the role.
Mhm.
And that, you know, I don't think I've ever really spelled that out, even in my own head.
I'm going to share this with our council
Oh, good,
Thursday.
good, that's great.
Have us
yeah.
read it.
But I like how you do the bullet points. I think, and the white space, that you have a lot of white space. I
Uh-huh,
think that really helps to focus in and be able to understand what goes with what,
uh-huh.
and it just makes it a lot clearer. I don't know, I can't remember exactly how it was before. You may be laughing at me and going, ah,
No, 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 no,
but
no. You're right about that. Yeah, and
yeah, I really like that.
yeah, I'm glad that spacing helps. That's my intention because it's a lot of material.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you approve the changes?
I do,
Okay.
for what it's worth.
Yeah. Okay, so so we can mush on to chapter 15 if you like.
Can we just see the pictures at the right pages?
Oh yeah, yeah, on the facing pages.
Uh-huh.
So these are Cheatham supplies for altar care. Yeah. And council list of council members, and then we have a clipboard where we track and order supplies, and that's one council that manages that. Yeah,
I love that picture.
I do too.
yeah, it's a great one. Okay, so far so good.
Yes.
All right,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to save this. So I'm actually reading it in Affinity, so I can make changes that are recommended right there. Okay, chapter 15. All right. So this, you know, I thought this is kind of a dry topic, but it's so important. The board is so important to what we do, and And so I feel like we need to say something about that structure of the board. Anyway, that's what this chapter is about.
Should there be a M dash before the author's name, Peter Rollins?
I haven't been doing that, and if
Oh,
I
okay, okay,
do that, I'll have to go back to chapter 1 and start over.
okay, okay.
I'm
Whose
gonna
turn?
do that.
Oh, Peg, is it your turn? My turn? Somebody else's turn?
I think it's your turn, Alice.
Okay. I really love the epigraph. Community is the willingness to be imperfect together, Peter Rollins.
I like it.
When we started out as Ordinary Mind, we made a few adjustments to the boilerplate articles of incorporation from the Texas state government website and adopted it without much additional thought. As mentioned above, the Sangha was still a tiny sitting group of 6 or 7 people. The board consisted of Sangha members John Danowitz and Jeannie Forsyth and myself, Peg. We met once a year. There was nothing really for a board to do. Our monthly income was about $25, and we didn't have any decisions to make, so we had a nice lunch and talked about the Sangha.
Just let me change this. Oh, here, okay.
So you can show that image if you want to. That's as we drive by.
The study.
Okay.
Okay.
Much later, as the Sangha grew, the board developed more structure with more members and more frequent meetings. With extensive research on the bylaws of other nonprofits, they drafted bylaws for Appamada in 2019. This helped establish the Sangha on a more solid legal foundation. They researched and adopted our ethics policy and grievance procedures, and they have managed the Sangha's financial well-being, insurance, and legal questions.
I think it's you, Kim, right?
I've seen in my consulting with other sanghas and in my past experience with Choko's Center just how important the role of the board can be. It's also fraught with danger if its power is not managed well. People sometimes disagree with each other. That's both an asset and a challenge. The board makes decisions that affect the whole sangha. Even well-meaning people can go astray, taking others with them, and sometimes a board can stoke controversy or even conflict with the sangha.
Can I say something? The Sangha, when you're, the board makes decisions that affect the whole Sangha. True enough, but I found myself thinking, if it's a Sangha or a whole Sangha, it seems less like something that happens within this Sangha.
So you would say with a whole sangha.
Yeah, with a whole Sangha. And then in
Yeah.
the last line, conflict with a Sangha.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm. On the other hand, without a board, with a radically democratic structure of decision making and responsibility, the Sangha is vulnerable to those who may be the most aggressive, persuasive, charismatic, self serving, or clever in manipulation. There can be a form of groupthink or the development of functions that becomes unwholesome for the Sangha, or the insistence on consensus for every decision can lead to a kind of exhausting paralysis. I had seen the very real dangers of this lack of structure many years ago with my first commune experience.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, of course.
This is a great place, although maybe it's implicit, to say, I didn't want this happening again. You sort of jump from, I'd seen it in my commune experience, to here are some of the dilemmas we faced. And I just thought maybe a slightly more
Um,
pronounced conclusion to the paragraph would
uh,
be suitable. Your call, of course.
uh, Yeah. Um, I think it just leads into the dilemmas.
As you wish.
Set up for the dilemmas and
Sure.
not, yeah, because then I'm going to say at the end of the dilemmas, after I ask the reader how they would resolve them, then I'm going to present what it is that we were thinking.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I think this is Milan, right?
Here are some of the dilemmas we face when thinking about our board. Dilemma 1. How can the constitution of the board and its operation reflect the core architecture and values of our Sangha? 2. How can the wisdom and perspectives of the teachers inform the board in an ongoing rather than intermittent way? 3. How can the board and its stakeholders, Dharma teachers, council members, Sangha members, communicate effectively with each other? I'll stop there.
Did you explain somewhere that we don't have members?
I don't remember exactly.
I don't know if that's important, but it's a very unusual structure not to have members.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it might
And
be
in
worth it
Texas-
somewhere too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in Texas, it's a particular kind of nonprofit if it does not have members.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So dilemma 4, how can stakeholders have a voice in board decisions and discussions? Dilemma 5, how can we go beyond surveys of the Sangha and reports from the board to a representative participatory democracy? Readers, how would you resolve these governance dilemmas? Take some time to reflect on your answer before you turn the page. So we might want to read the facing page before we do that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea.
okay. Need to get a little bit more of the page.
Up at the top.
Oh, a lot of more of the page.
What was, oh, we saw the study. Okay.
My involvement with Appamada began a few months after I retired. I was in a place where I was listening for what speaks to me in terms of next steps and feeling a wondrous appreciation for having the mental/emotional space to do that listening. A friend who is a longtime member of Appamada encouraged me to come to morning zazen, and it was rather suddenly the thing I came to do every single day. I felt drawn in some wordless interior way to this practice. I did not feel it was improving me or calming me down or making me more spiritual. I didn't know what it was doing. I was just going. Now, more than 3 years later, it's a kind of home for me.
About 1.5 years into my engagement with Appamada, I was asked to join and then to lead the board of directors. I was a bit taken aback by this request, as I felt myself to be such a beginner in both the practice and study of Buddhism. But I soon saw that some of the skills and habits of mind I had developed in my work career could be useful. At that time, Appamada, like many other organizations, was still recovering from the dispersing effects of the pandemic. In addition, many Sangha members were feeling, as a great loss, the relocation of both of its senior teachers to places far from Austin. It seemed to me that we needed to refocus as a community on how we wanted to move forward.
Early in my term as board president, the board gathered for a kind of visioning retreat during which we intentionally set aside all the constraints and barriers and limitations we experience. The budget, staffing, time, physical space, and offered up to each other what we hoped and wished for Appamada, for this beloved Sangha. The energy and love each board member brought to this exercise was truly inspiring, and we have continued to be guided by the expansive aspirational vision we articulated to each other that day. We did not distill this exercise into a formal vision statement or build it out into a strategic plan. Rather, we refer back to it as a repository for our hopes and loving intentions for the Sangha as a touchstone for the actions we take and the course we set as a board.
We can finish this this piece.
Okay. The puzzle for me now is how to offer whatever executive and management abilities I have from my work life to an organization held together primarily by love. I see how my daily practice, which is just a few years old, informs and changes my executive function as I bring that to Appamada. To be an executive in an organization with a specific mission, like in my case, wildlife conservation, is to operationalize that mission in the world, to turn ideas into action, to get results. But this results-oriented focus is greatly softened when the task at hand is the tender stewardship for an ever-evolving Buddhist Sangha. I find myself being confidently down a linear path and then stopping to wonder, is this the right assumption? Is this the right analysis? What do I really know for certain? I am moved, nevertheless, to embrace the task with all its uncertainties, prompted more by hope and love than by determination. It's beautiful.
That's just a beautiful piece of writing.
Yeah, just one question. Do you want to keep with the 2 spaces after the periods all the way through this?
No, I can change that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can change that. Let's see. There we go. All right, there we go. Fixed now. Sorry, I have to take a moment. Okay, so now we're in the top of the next page. So we've asked the question, how would you resolve these dilemmas? And who was that? Was that you, Kim?
I did read.
Okay, so then it's Melissa, I guess.
I read also.
Oh, okay.
Read that last part. Who read this last paragraph on the other
I think
side?
I did.
Okay, so Milan then.
Recently, considering the many dilemmas in self-governance for sanghas and the issues of power, protection, responsibility, decision-making, and communication that arise in those relationships, I made a proposal. Basically, it proposes that the board be composed of 1/3 Dharma teachers, 1/3 council members, and 1/3 members from the community at large, whether from the Sangha or members of the community. The proportion is the same regardless of the size of the board, although the number of board members must be divided by 3. Here's the proposal I wrote for the board.
I'm going to suggest
Yeah.
recently is a word that, if this document lasts, is not going to make a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
I see that you've mentioned in April 2024. I'd pull that up to the beginning there
Okay.
and delete it from, here's what I proposed in April 24.
Yeah, hold on a second. I could type, it would be so helpful.
And you also have a space between 4 and the colon.
Yeah, that's gonna disappear. You can't see me making these changes, unfortunately, but
No. So tell us when you're done.
it's all set.
Okay. We have been thinking about the composition of the board since it was constituted, and I've written about this numerous times. Here's what I proposed in April 2024.
Yeah. It's just here's what I
Here's
proposed.
what I proposed. 1, let the bylaws state that the board whatever its number, consist of 1/3 entrusted teachers, 1/3 council representatives, and 1/3 other members, Sangha members, outside experts, community members, and so on. For example, if the board consists of 9 members, 3 would be entrusted teachers, 3 would be council representatives, and 3 would be other members. All board members are equal voting members. If the board expanded to 12 or 15 or 21 members, the ratios need to stay the same. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. In effect, the total number of board members must be divisible by 3. My only observation there is it might be good to explain why. I'm assuming it's to keep ties from happening.
It's to respond to the dilemmas.
But why are the 3s necessary? Why must it be divisible by 3?
Because you have 3 constituencies and you want them to have equal power. So you have the teachers,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have the
Mhm.
councils and you have the Sangha. So you want them to have equal, and this prevents factions from gaining power and ganging up on, any one of those constituencies.
Okay. That, go
So
ahead.
if you have a vote, if you take a vote, in order to get 50% of that vote,
Mm-hmm.
include more than one constituency.
I wondered if maybe explaining that rationale just briefly would be useful.
It is explained
I-
below.
Was it earlier?
Below,
Below. Okay.
you'll see.
Okay.
2.
This is what went into the proposal, so I'm in a sense kind of quoting.
Got it.
Yeah.
2. Board representative candidates are chosen by their peers in their role. Entrusted teacher representative candidates chosen by the entrusted teachers. Council representative candidates chosen by all council members.
You didn't mention the community ones there in 2.
Yeah, that's in the next paragraph.
Okay. And so is Kim. The board approves all candidates for the board. Teacher representatives, council representatives, outside candidates. In principle, the board accepts the choices for teacher representative and council representatives unless there is a cause for rejection.
There's no
Four.
A.
Yeah. 4, terms shall be 2 years for each board member. Within each group, teachers, council members, outside members, they will have staggered terms, with no more than 1/3 of each group rotating off the board each year. This will leave 2/3 of each group as experienced board members on the board every year. That's very clever.
I know. Don't you think so?
Having run boards? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Milan.
I noticed that in some places you're mentioning 2/3 in numerals, and then above the 2/3 there, you've got 1/3 in, yeah.
Yeah.
So your choice, but I thought you might be running for consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make it words. Okay.
5. Terms may be repeated indefinitely, but need to be reapproved by the group the candidate belongs to but needs to be reapproved by the group the candidate belongs to and then by the board. These approvals can be handled electronically and should not require a meeting. However, they could require a quorum in numbers of responses.
Representatives, teachers, and council members and community board members are then responsible for attending board meetings and participating actively in discussions and decision-making. They are working members of the board.
These representatives are therefore freed from other Sangha responsibilities as appropriate to support their participation. Additional provision. All members of the board have equal votes. In the probably unlikely event of a tie, the matter would be decided by a Dharma transmitted teacher not currently serving on the board, who would thoroughly review the issue and cast the deciding vote, much like the vice president serves to break a tie in the US Senate.
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
The response to this proposal from the board. The board had some hesitation about the proposal because they were not sure Dharma teachers would be willing to serve on the board, considering their other responsibilities. Their point was that they aspired to this mix of teachers, council members, and other members already. However, what I was proposing was not intended as an aspiration, but as part of Appamada's architecture, a structural element.
The Dharma teachers reply, at present we have 4 Dharma entrusted teachers and 2 Dharma transmitted teachers. After discussing the proposal, the Teachers Council sent a response. We have reviewed the proposal and fully support this change. We understand that there has been some confusion about the willingness of the Dharma teachers to serve on the board. There are 6 Dharma teachers at present, and within the next year there will be 2 more. We want the board to know that we have discussed board member representation, and all 6 of our current Dharma teachers affirm their willingness to serve on the board. It is clear that our teachers support this change in the bylaws and offer their participation on the board.
We expect that
Go ahead. I can save it
No, go
until the
ahead.
end. Oh, I was just,
Sure.
yeah, I was just going to say, I had a little trouble moving from third person to first person. And I know it's a letter that's being presented, but it was hard for me to feel the shift into the letter until I got to the end and there's a signature. So I'm not sure what to say about that. I had thought about,
That's why I said the Dharma teachers reply.
I get it. I get it.
What you might say is this is the Dharma teacher's reply.
Uh-huh.
And then that would clarify the we as the Dharma are the Dharma teacher.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Or the Dharma teacher's response. Also, if you inset it, if you tab it in just one more, then that'll set it off and show that it's I think more that it's the reply.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Is it my turn?
Sure.
Okay.
Kim just read.
Oh, okay. So then it's
Oh,
Melissa.
then it's me sitting here. Not okay. So
We expect.
okay, we expect. I'm sorry, I couldn't somehow
okay.
there's something else above that. We expect that the councils with their larger number should also be able to choose an adequate number of representatives to the board, which they can select at an all council meeting or some online or email polling.
We expect this change in Appamada's bylaw will also make it easier for the board to fill its seats, as teachers and councils will select and provide their representatives. The board's only concern could then be finding the number for the other category, which might include members of the Sangha at large or members of the large community with sole desired skills or professional capacities, financial planners, attorneys, and so on. They could, by definition, not be teachers or council members, as that could unbalance the board.
Is it clear so far?
I just
The
have a
board-
question. When you say community, Sangha or community,
Uh-huh.
what is community?
Like the larger community, the Austin metropolitan area, for example.
Just people there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes. So we have a lot of friends out there in the city who are not members of Appamada, who don't attend Appamada, but who have, a lot of affection for it. So the board can determine how many people they need for the board, any number divisible by 3, and then ask the teachers and the councils to provide the appropriate number of representatives for their proportion. This gives the board a lot of flexibility if it needs to get bigger because we're hosting some big event or something, or it's got some particular task, managing a large sum of money that's been left to us, for example. They can expand the size of the board or contract it without changing the bylaws. All they have to do is maintain the proportions,
Ratio. Yeah.
the rationale. This is.
Thank you so much for considering. this
Thank you so much
proposal.
for considering this proposal and for your sincere, faithful care for the Sangha and its welfare. We are all deeply grateful for you. With appreciation, Dharma teachers Peg, Flint, Todd, Lori, Joel, and Kim.
The rationale. I also offered a rationale for a change in the bylaws. Board composition is a board composition is a structural issue, not a matter of personal preferences or convenience. That is why it must be written into the bylaws, not left as an unspecified ideal to be resolved or not by ad hoc measures.
It then becomes understood that serving on the board is a role responsibility for both Dharma teachers and council members. During their service to the board, they may be relieved of other role responsibilities. However, it is fundamental to Appamada's social architecture for governance. Teachers and council members should not have token representation on the board. They should be equally its constituents. Board decisions and actions then have stable support through the 3 pillars of teachers, councils, and the community. If the need arises, the board may expand in these same proportions.
Anyone may come to Appamada and participate in Appamada's offerings as a Sangha member. Nothing is expected of them, and they have no responsibilities for the Sangha. However, assuming a council or teaching role necessarily means assuming the responsibilities of the role wholeheartedly. One of the role responsibilities for a teacher or council member is serving on the board in turn. If they are unwilling to assume or continue those responsibilities, they are then always welcome to become regular Sangha members without a role as a teacher or council member.
This structure greatly reduces the potential for conflict or acrimony. Teacher and council members' valuable experiences, training in administration and decision-making for a Sangha. It provides for the board the invaluable perspective and wisdom of these 3 constituencies that form the Sangha, and it provides a stable, sustainable, and enduring structure for the Sangha's well-being into the future.
This proposal can be approved with an implementation date in the future, say 6 months from now, giving everyone time to organize and coordinate their efforts. I'm not sure what the current or optimal number of board members is at present, or how they are reflective already for this 3-part representation, but it's critical that it not be left to fluctuate or falter.
Alter. We love our board and its members. This is not about some unsatisfactoriness with the current board. It is about an architectural necessity for the well-being of the Sangha far into the future. It can't be left to chance. At Joko Center, the board was stacked with allies of two of her senior students who wanted to get rid of Joko. Subsequently, the board changed the bylaws to make Joko an employee of the board, when originally the bylaws had specified that the whole purpose of the center was to promote Joko's teachings. I'm not anticipating anything like that at Appamada, but in my consulting with a wide range of sanghas, I've witnessed a lot of other conflicts, distress, and struggles that could have been prevented with better representation of its constituencies on the board. You can read this facing page if you like.
Okay. Dharma gates are boundless. Appamada Garden.
The up above that.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
How should we apply our spiritual or philosophical insights to the concrete realities at hand? Many crises and dilemmas face our world and its ecosystems, and these will require spiritual as well as technological responses. But the dangers to our world are actually a wonderful opportunity to enrich our relationship to time and to the beings of our future, to deepen the experience and worthiness of being human by taking on guardianship of the world. From the perspective of bodhisattva practice, living in challenging times is a bounteous gift. Everything we do now to add insight, caring, and beneficial activity to our world can actually make a huge difference to the planet's environment and to future generations of humans and other beings, all under threat in the current situation.
So I think of the board as that kind of guardian. Yeah. Okay, where are we? On page 14, the first full paragraph, my proposal.
That must have been right after the stairs the porch was put on,
Yeah, that's right.
because there's no railing.
The fence wasn't even built yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on page 14.
Did we read this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You want to be much further down 14. Keep going. Yeah. Keep going. There it is. My proposal is not just an interesting idea. It's what it is.
My proposal is not just an interesting idea, and it is not subject to whims or preferences. It's a social architecture that accomplishes a lot to resolve many of our dilemmas, from how to fill board seats to how to provide better communications with the teachers, councils, and community. It prevents misunderstandings and clarifies our intentions. It naturally resolves many issues around power dynamics, resource management, decision-making, engagement, and support, because the key constituencies are all in the room and all participating equally. Something I'm confused about is traditionally a board would just be dealing with money and legal stuff. And is that still the board's responsibility, or have you enlarged it?
Because of this particular composition, and because you always have to have some collaboration between like the teachers board over programming, scheduling, things like that, because the board's going to be providing funding. And so they have to budget for things. I think this is a really nice way for that to be accomplished without a lot of back and forth, and you know, sort of trying to get everybody on the same page. You know, they're in the room, and those discussions are happening together. So for example, do we want to have 4 week-long intensives a year? Well, that involves not only the teachers' desires, but it also involves the board's financing and budgeting and so forth. So having them in one place simplifies things.
So they'll be in one place, but as the board, they'll still just deal with those responsibilities.
That's right, with board
Okay.
responsibilities,
Okay.
insurance, finance, yeah, yeah.
Excuse me. I strongly urge this change in the board composition and stress the necessity of changing the bylaws to institute it officially as our structure. Even if it may seem unnecessary for the moment, it is still essential to make it officially established in our bylaws, to be implemented with all due speed. I really like that you recognize that.
I was wondering if 2 paragraphs above this interesting idea should be like in italics, because it's like the author saying that her idea is interesting. One more paragraph above.
Here?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was wondering
Uh-huh.
if that should be like in italics or some sort of remarks.
You mean the words interesting idea?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, uh-huh.
Good catch, man.
Uh-huh. This is again quoting from the rationale I gave them. Okay.
With this kind of equal representation of the three how do you say that?
Constituencies?
Constituencies, teachers, councils, and community, one group cannot dominate on the board. A majority vote requires at least some support from another constituency, and accurate and timely communication about board activity is greatly improved in this mode. Each constituency has a powerful voting bloc in the room when motions are proposed, discussions are held, decisions are made. Each constituency selects its own representatives who in turn keep their constituency. Sorry, I cannot go.
You're doing great with it. Good job.
Continue, please.
Peg, did you want to pick up?
Oh, okay. I think we might, did we get this last sentence? No.
I think the last 2 sentences.
Yeah. Each constituency selects its own representatives who in turn keep their constituencies informed about board business, that one. The perspectives of each constituency get a full hearing, and in this way, the board can make wise decisions together for the well-being of the Sangha. An additional benefit of this structure is that it provides the board flexibility in determining its number. Without any modification of bylaws, it can expand or reduce its number for a special purpose. When we hosted the Lay Zen Teachers Association annual conference in 2018, for example, there were many administrative details to manage. In such a situation, the board could temporarily expand its numbers from 9 to 15, for example, to manage the additional work. In that case, the board would simply request the requisite number of additional members from each constituency, keep the same proportions of 1/3 Dharma teachers, 1/3 council members, 1/3 Sangha, and community members.
In 2025, the Appamada board approved this proposal. Information and contact links for Appamada's board can be found here. You may want to get rid of your W's there, right? appamada.org/appamada-board. Obviously, the board is deeply immersed in the financial situation of the Sangha, critical to the Sangha's well-being and survival. We are dependent on the generosity of our supporters for our very existence. The next chapter, Generosity, describes our efforts to adopt an ancient Buddhist model for financial support that is quite revolutionary in a contemporary capitalist society. This, of course, has raised its own set of dilemmas.
Okay, that's a good stopping point.
Yeah, and I think that Appamada should be with a small a in the URL.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. This is so helpful. I so appreciate you guys helping with this. So helpful. So yeah, I have to sign off, but thank you so much. I made all your changes. They're all And this is it's wonderful to hear you read it. It's very helpful for me to hear it. So our language is melodic, you know, it's a kind of music. So when things when you hear things, it's different than when you just read them on the page. Yeah. It's a long poem to the Sangha is what this is. All right, thank you. This is kind of dry material, but I actually wanted this documented and permanent. I wanted it on the permanent record. So thank you so much for bearing with it. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Bye, Allison, thank you for coming. What am I doing here? I see.
And I don't know if you knew it, but Alice is editing for PEG.
I figured. Yeah.
Do we want to write or something? Or do we want to end our meeting here? Or how do you guys all feel?
Looks like Milan has ended.
I'm willing to stay, but I am very tired, so I would not necessarily object to ending early.
I think Anne has pretty long days.
I was
Nice.
looking at
Nice to get to bed.
Okay, should we do that? We'll just
Yeah.
pretend we did it.
Okay. We can think about our writing.
But I think it's you know, the books for me is getting much better and much more concise, and also it's neat to we went through a lot with in terms of structure with the councils and the board. Thought that was good.
I think it's amazing.
That should be helpful to other places
Mhm.
who are starting out.
Mm.
Okay, take care.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.